It's February 23rd here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the ongoing mass resignations by doctors. The government is holding a Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure headquarters meeting to discuss the troubles caused by the walkout. The health and medical treatment disaster crisis warning level has been upped to severe, the highest level. Top diplomats of South Korea, the US and Japan put their heads together in Brazil on Thursday, stressing the importance of trilateral coordination to deal with North Korean provocations and the regime's military support for Russia's aggression against Ukraine. And this weekend marks 2 full years since the beginning of the crisis in Ukraine. We take a closer look at the apparent arms collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang and how North Korea's engagement in the war can be an issue here on the Korean Peninsula. The South Korean government continues to stay vigilant against the doctors' absences at hospitals. An emergency meeting is currently underway, and the country's health and medical treatment disaster crisis warning level is now at the highest level. Our Lee Si-hoo is on the line for more. Si-hoo, fill us in.
Right. The first Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure headquarters to discuss strengthening the government response to doctors' collective action began at 8:30 this morning. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, who led the meeting, said that the government will extend operating hours of public health centers on weekdays and also maintain 24-hour operation of emergency rooms. He vowed the government will work to lessen the pressure on medical professionals who are on duty. The meeting was attended by officials from the Ministries of Health, Education, Justice and Interior and Safety, along with other relevant local government agencies. Now, as you mentioned, this comes after the government raised its health and medical treatment disaster crisis warning level to severe as of 8 a.m. Friday, which is one step up from the previous level of alert. The Health Ministry explained this is due to increased health and safety risks for the public as the doctors' collective action escalates. With the change, the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure headquarters is mainly undertaking the government response to the protest.
Now, the number of doctors leaving their patients behind is going only up. Si-hoo, how many of them have resigned and actually left their workplaces then?
Right, so this is the 4th day of the massive walkout, and so far over 9,000 intern and resident doctors have handed in their letters of resignation, according to the Health Ministry. Now that's around 71% of all doctor trainees. Of those 9,000, around 8,000 have left their posts in hospitals. But no hospitals have yet accepted the doctors' will to resign. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry earlier this week sent inspection teams to hospitals to check the number of doctors who did not show up to their shifts. They ordered the doctors to return to duty as soon as possible. That's all I have for now.
All right, Si-hoo, thank you for that coverage. And moving on, President Yoon has declared 2024 the beginning of a new leap forward for South Korea's nuclear power sector. He promised new projects worth billions of dollars as he visited the city of Changwon, which he called the center of the country's nuclear industry. Our top office correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
South Korea expects to create $2.5 billion worth of nuclear power projects with aggressive state support and regulatory change to promote the industry as an export cash cow. On Thursday, President Yoon held the 14th round of policy discussions with non-government panels and citizens to discuss ways to promote the nuclear power sector to ramp up local jobs and boost livelihoods. Yoon stressed the need to transition to zero carbon for both energy and economic security, particularly as South Korea's advanced tech industries rely on a colossal amount of energy. Declaring 2024 as the start of a new leap forward for the nuclear sector, the president said some $2.5 billion worth of projects will be supplied, as well as extra financing worth $750 million.
정부는 원전 산업의 정상화를 넘어서 올해를 원전 재도약의 원년으로 만들기 위해 전폭 지원을 펼칠 것입니다. 계약만 하는 것이 아니고 먼저 선지급을 통해서 기업들이 숨을 쉴 수 있도록 할 것입니다. 또 조세 특례 제한법 시행령을 개정해서 원전 제조를 위한 시설 투자나 연구 개발도 세제 혜택 대상에 포함시킬 것입니다.
To create a stable ecosystem that's globally competitive, the government will invest over $3 billion in research and development to support firms and universities carrying out cutting-edge innovation. Particularly as South Korea looks to develop homegrown small module reactors, Yoon also pledged to enact a special law to back the sustainable growth of the industry and produce a mid to long-term plan for 2050 to achieve carbon neutrality. Calling the city of Changwon the heart of the nation's nuclear industry, Yoon said the government will loosen land use regulations to allow factories to be built, promoting convergence of the nuclear and defense industries in particular. To attract young people to the city to work and live, the president said a cultural centre will be built, as well as attractive spots for leisure. Also, the administration will create a corporate innovation park on Gov't Island, just off the south coast, as a base for the cultural, arts, digital and biomedical industries. Having reversed the previous administration's nuclear phase-out policy, the government says Korean firms have procured over $3 billion worth of overseas orders to build nuclear power plants during this current government, 6 times what was accumulated during the last administration. In line with Yoon's policy, the nation's nuclear power operator has been aiming to win overseas orders to build 10 nuclear reactors by the year 2030. 오수영, Arirang News.
The top diplomats of Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo met for talks on the sidelines of the foreign ministers' meeting of the G20 nations in Brazil on Thursday and called on North Korea to immediately stop its advancing provocations. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa highlighted the importance of trilateral coordination to respond to the North's provocations. The 3 ministers said security cooperation between the 3 countries has been greatly strengthened to counter Pyongyang's advancing nuclear and missile threats. They reaffirmed that last August, Camp David summit opened a new era in trilateral cooperation and vowed to further strengthen response capabilities. Now, Thursday's 3-way talks marked the first since Seoul's top envoy took office last month. One of the 5 largest global film festivals, the Berlin International Film Festival, is taking place. This is where we discover big stars of international cinema, new talents, and of course, enjoy great pieces. We turn to Professor Jason Vashaves for more. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me. It's
Thanks
a pleasure
for
as
joining us.
always.
I would first like to shed light on the Kenyan actress Lupita Nyong'o, who became the first black head of the jury. This is a first in the award's 74-year history, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hugely significant. You know, it's a shame actually that it's taken this long. You know, a lot of these festivals have really struggled to embrace the diversity. You know, Spike Lee became the Cannes jury head more recently, and yeah, it's just taken a long time, and it is great to see that her on the the red carpet and leading a very diverse jury, and I think it's something that should be celebrated. But at the same time, I think it's important to note that it has taken a long time to get here, and there is still some way to go, but certainly encouraging nonetheless.
Right, it has come a long way. Jason, if you had to pick one film, actor, or even actress that deserves the spotlight at this year's edition, what or who would it be as a film expert yourself?
Well, you know what? I'm going to voice celebration of the Korean film industry because Jang Jae-hyun's Exuma screened in the Berlin Film Festival, and this is a Korean film that I think is worthy of significant attention. I went to see it this week, and I went to the premiere, and it's extremely well received, and it sold 330,000 tickets on its first day yesterday. And this is really encouraging. And I think it's something that, I mean, the industry has been struggling over recent weeks and months or even years. And we now have a film that's doing very well in cinema, that's screened in Berlin. There are a lot of films at the Berlin Film Festival, and there is a danger that, that some of these can get buried. And I think it's worthy of note that this film screened there, along with 4 other Korean films, actually, including Hong Sang-soo's The Traveler's Need, that premiered in competition. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely worth noting the Korean film. So that's what I would kind of highlight.
Well, I do have to point out what was noticeably different from previous years at this year's edition is that the Israel-Hamas war took center stage, didn't it? We have to talk about that too.
We did. It's very difficult, I think, for the festival itself to kind of navigate these very kind of difficult waters because obviously it's a very divisive issue. No Other Land, this is a documentary that was put together by a collective of Palestinian and Israeli filmmakers, which explores how a West Bank community is resisting the Israeli army. That's a film that I think has been very warmly embraced at the festival. There's also the Tiny House Project, which is basically this kind of cabin-like structure that's been set up near the festival's hub in Berlin, and it's been there for 3 days between February the 17th and 19th, where people can come and talk openly about the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. And I think, and there's also been protests. There was around 50 pro-Palestinian supporters that staged a protest at the European film market, which takes place in Berlin. So it's certainly been front and center, but I think the festival is trying its best to basically focus on, the human cost of the conflict without trying to take sides.
Definitely. On top of that, the 77th British Academy Film Awards also took place this week. Now, it's not an exaggeration to say the film Oppenheimer stole the night at the BAFTAs. I have to ask you, does the film deserve all the awards?
Yes, it does. I think Oppenheimer is, it's basically very well placed now, I think, to sweep at the Oscars. Like I said, yeah, it's won seven of the BAFTAs, including Best Director for Christopher Nolan, Best Film, Best Supporting Actor for Robert Downey Jr., and many others, and Cillian Murphy as well for Best Actor. So I think the question is, the Oscars take place in just less than 2 weeks now, and I think it's almost certain to win Best Picture. Certainly Best Director for Christopher Nolan, who's I think he's long deserved that. And it's a film that sold $1 billion at the box office, and it's a film that's complex. It's layered. It's very cinematic. Much like the Korean film industry, Hollywood has also struggled. Not quite as badly as Korea, but nonetheless, it has pulled in audiences. That and Barbie, the so-called kind of Barbenheimer phenomena that really got people excited again. And Barbie hasn't really caught on in the same way at the Oscars that Oppenheimer has. But as a critic, I love Barbie. I absolutely loved it. But Oppenheimer, it is a masterpiece and deserves every Academy Award that's coming its way.
Well, Jason, before I let you go briefly, I want to point out this proud moment for a lot of Korean people and Korean community, how a Germany-born South Korean actor Tae-Yu was nominated in the leading actor category for his role in the movie Past Lives. This is a pretty noticeable achievement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He wasn't nominated for an Oscar, and so I think, yes, it is notable. The BAFTAs have often been criticized for their choices over the years. But they have celebrated, Korean content and talent as well. The Handmaiden became the first Korean film to be nominated in their best kind of non-English language or international film category back, I think, in 2017, and it actually won that category. That was before Parasite. So, yes, it is notable. Again, kind of going back to, my earlier point in that, why is it taking him this long? It's great that it's happening, and we talked about this with Yoon Jung winning Best Supporting Actress for Minari at the Oscars, and so yeah, it feels like the BAFTA and the Academy are finally embracing diversity, and the festivals as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's taken a bit of a while to get here.
Right. Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
The mother of Alexei Navalny said she was allowed to see her son's body, but officials would not release it unless she agreed to a secret funeral. And Navalny's widow and daughter met with U.S. President Joe Biden ahead of the much-anticipated massive sanctions package targeted at Moscow. Our Lee Seung-ja has more.
The mother of Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny said Thursday that she had been given access to her son's body, but added that Russian officials would not release her son unless she agreed to a secret funeral. In a video message released Thursday, Lyudmila Navalnaya said she spent 24 hours in a morgue located in the Siberian town near the prison where Navalny died. She said while she was finally allowed to see her son's body, investigators were blackmailing her by saying if she didn't agree to a secret funeral, they would do something with the body. She added that the official went on to further say that time is not on your side, corpses decompose. However, Navalny's mother insists she won't succumb to the demands, saying she wants those who cared about her son to have an opportunity to say goodbye. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday met with Navalny's widow and daughter in California. After the meeting, Biden expressed his admiration for Navalny and said that the U.S. will be announcing sanctions against Putin for his role in Navalny's death on Friday. In a readout of the meeting, the White House also said the sanction will be major and comes in response to Navalny's death, as well as Russia's repression and aggression and his brutal and illegal war in Ukraine. The meeting took place in California as Navalny's widow flew there to be with her daughter, who is currently a student at Stanford University. Lee Seung-ja, Arirang News.
This weekend, Ukraine marks 2 years since Russia's invasion. Russia's growing weapons dependence on North Korea has risen as a crucial factor, not only on the battlefield over in Ukraine, but also here on the Korean Peninsula. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has this report.
2 years into the Ukraine war, Russia has been turning to North Korea to seek more gasoline for its fire. The two sides are believed to have been strengthening their military cooperation after Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin met in Russia last September. Pyongyang has allegedly sent around 2.5 million rounds of artillery to Moscow for use against Ukraine. Although early assessment has shown that the decades-old North Korean shells appear to be of poor quality, experts say that simply quantity itself matters on the battlefield.
So quantity is very helpful for Russian operations because they've been going through thousands of shells every day. Having thousands of rounds per day to provide to Russia certainly increases the damage to Ukrainian infrastructure as well as increasing Ukrainian casualties.
What's more concerning, though, is Russia's deployment of North Korea's latest KN-23 and KN-24 ballistic missiles. Ukraine's top prosecutor general Andriy Kostin this week confirmed that at least 24 ballistic missiles recently launched by Russia were from North Korea. Although the accuracy is still questionable, the prosecutor said the missiles killed at least 14 civilians and wounded 70. This could be an opportunity for the North to assess how its new missiles fare in combat situations.
I mean, Russia asked, can you give us these things? And North Korea said, yeah, we can do that. But they said, yeah, we can do that because not only were they going to make money, but they were going to have a testing ground to see how well they worked.
So what effect will this have on the security situation on the Korean Peninsula? Experts say North Korea's decision to send weapons to Russia shows that the regime is not preparing for a full-scale war against South Korea, as a major military operation would require massive stockpiles of missiles and shells.
You haven't heard much lately about North Korea testing KN-23s or KN-24s. And they were last year, they were the year before. Does that mean they're really down low on those stocks to the point where they need to hold on to what they've got for wartime use? Interesting question, because they've shifted to cruise missile testing, and making you wonder, is that because they didn't have enough ballistic missiles to continue what they've been doing?
Though there may be no need to prepare for war just yet, it remains to be seen whether Moscow will provide the North with the crown jewels of its military technology in return. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Si-young, and now we turn up to the stories from around the world. We begin today with business news, where global stock markets have seen a surge as the US S&P 500 and Dow Jones, Europe's Stock 600, and Japan's Nikkei stock index all hit record highs on Thursday. On Wall Street, stock indexes surged as Nvidia's bumper earnings and outlook push investors to rush into technology and growth stocks. Nvidia forecast on Wednesday that its first quarter revenue will almost triple as strong demand for AI chips continues. Nvidia's market cap surged to almost $2 billion, putting the chipmaker above Amazon and Google as the fourth largest company in the world by market cap. The global stocks rally saw Europe's Stock 600 index rise to almost 496 points on Thursday to hit an all-time record high. Japan's Nikkei 225 index hit the 39,000 mark on Thursday, topping its previous record set back in 1989. While the US market surge came on the back of the AI industry, no single factor drove the setting of new records in Europe and Japan. In the US, President Joe Biden on Wednesday announced that his administration is canceling $1.2 billion of federal student loans. This latest student debt forgiveness will benefit some 153,000 eligible Americans. Biden said during a re-election fundraising trip to California that while a college degree is a ticket to a better life, that ticket is too expensive. The president also said the latest round of debt relief will be a huge help to graduates of community college and borrowers with smaller loans. The latest debt relief plan applies to Americans who are enrolled in the Saving on a Valuable Education repayment program, which covers those with loans of $12,000 or less, or who have been paying back for at least 10 years. Since taking office, the Biden administration has cancelled a total of some $138 billion in federal student debt for around 3.9 million people. In the UK, one of London's landmarks, the BT Tower, is set to become a luxury hotel. Former owner, British Telecom Group, announced on Wednesday that it had sold the tower to MCR Hotels for some $347 million. Originally called the Post Office Tower, the 177-meter building played a vital role in connecting the nation's calls, messages, and TV signals. It was London's tallest building for 16 years since it was opened in 1965. Now, London's iconic BT Tower will join the likes of the old War Office and the former Metropolitan Police headquarters to be converted into a hotel. Finally, to Australia, where exceptionally dry weather conditions have caused an unprecedented 2-month delay in the annual migration of Australia's Christmas Island red crabs. According to Brandon Tiernan, a program coordinator for Parks Australia, this year is the first time in recorded history that the crabs migrated as late as February and in lower in numbers than previously. With a population of over 100 million, the crabs usually begin their journey around November every year from the island's interior to the ocean where they mate. Much of Christmas Island is designated as a national park and protected by Australian law.
Good morning. Last week felt like April, but this week is more like midwinter with the record-breaking amount of snow for the season that we saw yesterday in the capital area. Right now, Gangwon-do and southern regions are seeing wet clouds dropping drizzle and sleet. East of Gangwon-do will see more flurries through tonight, while mountainous regions in Jeju will see snow into Sunday with up to 10 centimeters in the forecast with a heavy snow advisory. Afternoon highs will go up 1 to 5 degrees higher than yesterday, but southern provinces will have highs that are chillier than seasonal averages this afternoon. Most parts, in fact, will see highs that are below 10 degrees today. Morning sunshine in the capital will be joined by more clouds by the afternoon. The rest of the south will see wet conditions letting up in the afternoon. A cloudy weekend is in the forecast with Jeollanam-do and Jeju to see a mix of rain and snow. But next week looks to be more promising with roller coaster temperatures. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back next week for Monday's edition at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.